Welcome to the Selling from the Heart podcast on the Salescast Network. You've joined a global movement of sales professionals who are dedicated to being authentic and building trust. We call it Selling from the Heart. Together, we are on a mission to bring sincerity and substance to the sales profession we all love. Get ready to be inspired and equipped as we join our hosts, Larry Levine and Darrell Amy.
Darrell here, and I'm excited to share with you one of the most innovative tools we've come across in a long time. Our partners at Why Institute have developed an amazing platform that helps people discover their why operating system. It's truly amazing. In 10 minutes or less, you can know why you do what you do, how you bring your why to life, and what people can count on from you. It's truly the first step in self-awareness. If you're a coach or a sales leader who believes in helping your people understand who they are so they can be the best version of themselves, you've got to check this out. All you need to do is go to whyinstitute.com and look for the Why certification page. We'll put the link in the show notes. When you reach out to the Why Institute, let them know you heard about it here on Selling from the Heart, and you'll be on your way to helping your team discover what drives them. Hello and welcome back to the Selling from the Heart podcast. Your co-host, Darrell Amy, here today with Larry Levine. What's going on, Larry?
We got all kinds of things. Great seeing you. Here we are. We are fast tracking through the summer, but it's been a great summer.
As this is coming out, we are knocking on the door of Labor Day, and it has been a fantastic summer. We've witnessed the relaunch of Selling from the Heart at Barnes & Noble. We've had a great time inside the Selling from the Heart Insiders group, and amazing conversations all summer long. And let me tell you, today's conversation with Hannah Austin is going to be incredible. So get ready to learn. I'm so excited, Larry.
Oh, I know. I've read the book. Great message. I had to color coordinate the highlighter to the book. So that's just an OCD thing that I have. Hey, but before we welcome in Hannah, I just want to give a special shout out to somebody in the Insiders group. And if y'all want to hang out with some like-minded, like-hearted people, come check us out every Friday in the Selling from the Heart Insiders group. But I want to just give a special shout out to Bobby Keogh. This guy, oh my gosh, he found his way to Selling from the Heart probably 6 to 8 months ago. Wears his heart on his sleeves. Bobby, you're a freaking rock star.
Here. Shout out to Bob and to everybody in the Insiders group. And what's so cool is this has become this cool, eclectic gathering of heart-centered sales professionals from all over the world. And we'd love for you to come join us. Just go to sellingfromtheheart.net/free-pass. That's sellingfromtheheart.net/free-pass. You'll find it in the show notes, and you can come join us in an upcoming, up close and personal with our incredible network of thought leaders and friends, and you're absolutely going to love it. We hope to see you there in talking about an incredible friend that is heart-centered. We've got Hannah Austin in the studio today. She is the author of the book, get this title, Hello Head, Meet Heart. She specializes in the management and prevention of burnout for professionals. And as the CEO and founder of SheShatters, LLC, she draws in her experience consulting and coaching corporate leaders to provide employees at the mid to high point in their career with the support they need to burn brightly without burning out. Oh. Hannah, it is great to have you here in the Selling from the Heart studios. Welcome.
Hi, guys. So excited to be here.
Oh, so are we. Great seeing you, Hannah.
You too.
What a fun conversation ahead. And Hannah, as we get started, you know the question that every guest on the Selling from the Heart podcast answers. And that is, what does it mean to you to sell from the heart?
Oh gosh, such a great question. Well, I never considered myself a salesperson. I always considered myself an operations person. And for me, salesperson was like going to a car lot, and it was someone coming up to me, annoying me and bothering me. And I never wanted to be like that. But now knowing in my own business and now selling my book, right, firsthand, it's all about making a connection with the person that's right in front of you and listening and learning what they need. And you're the void and the opportunity to fill that need. So really selling is directly from the heart, aligning your head and heart with the actual product, no matter what it is.
Oh, I like it. And we're going to have a fascinating conversation. And I'm so glad you brought up the alignment of head and heart. It's so it just dovetails so well into your book. But you use a word just to kick our time off that's just near and dear to me, and that's connect. And I believe it's really hard to align the head and the heart together if we can't connect to ourselves. Yes. It's really hard to even sell from the heart if we lack that connection to ourselves. It just comes out when we start having conversations with people. And I just love, I mean, you got a fascinating backstory, but I just love the title of the book, Hello Head Meet Heart, because it talks about that alignment of head and heart. And I think that's what you need to bring to the forefront today.
Absolutely. And I think bottom line is, you mentioned, Larry, connecting with yourself. It's so hard to do that. It sounds easy, right? Yeah. Oh, just know who you are and know who you are as a salesperson or as a human individual, but it's not that easy. And I think often with COVID and everything that we've had going on, we focus more on the external than we do the internal.
In the profession of sales, burnout is something that is rampant throughout the sales profession for so many different reasons. And as we get started today, I'd love if you could give us a window into the backstory behind Hello Head, Meet Heart. What's the Hannah Austin story, and why are you so passionate about this topic of burnout and avoiding it and overcoming it?
Yeah, thanks for the question. I mean, for me, it really came from buying into the story of you've got to work harder, faster, quicker. At the age of 21, I managed one of the largest healthcare systems here in Oregon. And so all of my employees were older than me, right? So I learned very quickly at a young age how to paddle frantically behind the scenes. So what that means is work hard, stay later than anyone else, get there earlier than anyone else. And when you're younger than half of your staff, you have to prove, or you think you have to prove yourself. And so I did that for 20 years, you guys. I learned very, very quickly to get ahead that I had to be, very productive, selling myself in a variety of different ways, especially at work. And fast forward to COVID, I actually collapsed in the hospital that I was managing staff in, truly. And then to me, Hannah, you're a workaholic. You need to stop doing this. You need to start making some decisions for your health internally. And so, you guys, I walked away from a 20-year career. I resigned shortly after that hospitalization, and my husband and I made some plans for me to be able to step away. And I retired from a 20-year healthcare career at the age of 41.
And I mean, I love, how you brought out the story in the book. And I want to address something because, and this is directed really to anyone, but more specifically, I just want to hit the younger generation just for a moment on this. Is social media has a lot to do with this. And I don't want to go down the social media rabbit hole, but I just want to go there for a moment, Hannah, is look how this is being portrayed out on social. It's the grit, grind, grow. Look what I'm doing. I'm putting in 16 hours a day, right? 20 hours a day. Look at me, and so forth. And, let's just face it. It's a comparison syndrome that just starts hitting everybody. And you go, if I want to get ahead, I got to outwork and I got to out hustle everybody. But over time, it comes back and you hit a brick wall. You did it. I've done it. I've hit the brick walls before. I think everybody does, but you learn it later on in life.
Absolutely. And I think the thing for me is, I don't have kids, right? And so I always thought to myself, okay, I'm a woman. I have to work harder anyways, but I don't have kids. So those moms that need to leave early, I need to stay and cover their shift, or I need to stay so they're able to be with their family. And so I always had this external or internal, conversation with myself about, okay, in order to prove being a woman or being of worth or whatnot and not having kids, my legacy or my only thing to leave was my career. Like that's how I managed my identity. I thought, if I don't work hard, who am I? I'm not a mom, right? Technically. So my work was my life. And I think to your point, Larry, we see on Instagram or Facebook or whatever social media program that you're on. Now you have to make millions, but only work 30 hours a week. Well, it's impossible to make millions and work 30 hours a week. I mean, it really is. If they do that and it's working, I want to know what they're doing. But it's still that now it's like, okay, work-life integration or work-life balance, but we know everyone's paddling frantically under the scenes or behind the scenes and doing what they need to do, especially as business owners. So I think there's that juxtaposition of do as I say, not as I do. You have to work extremely hard, but oh wait, you have to take care of yourself. And that's kind of that balance of yin and yang. Is it ever going to be the one thing or the other, right? There's never a balance. It's always an integration.
Yep.
Yeah, and that's certainly true in the world of sales. And all of us in sales, we show up at the beginning of the month, beginning of the quarter, beginning of the year, and everything's back down to zero, right? And so there's
Here
this
we go.
Yep. All right. Great job. Great job. We'll celebrate for 5 minutes, cash the commission check, and then boom, you're back to square one. And in that world, and you're surrounded by other competitive people, which is fantastic. There's an energy to that that's wonderful. But underneath the surface, we know in the sales profession, because of folks we've talked to and data that we've seen, that the mental health state of sales professionals is really, really bad. And I'm just curious, when you think about burnout, and for everyone listening in, because I know everyone in sales is like, well, yeah, that's me. I get up, I hustle, I get it done. I make rain, we go for it. Let's do it. Right. What are some signs of burnout? How can our listeners recognize, they go, oh, this actually might be me?
Yeah. I mean, I think for me it was, and for a lot of the salespeople that I coach are, being cynical, right? Oh, we're back to square one again. Here I am again. Or frankly, checking out, sitting at your desk, knowing that you have to talk to, 100 people by the end of the week and it's Monday and that's Friday, or, traveling. I have a lot of salespeople who I work and coach with who are traveling so much they're missing their family. They're feeling guilty for being at home and they're feeling guilty for being at work. They're never present, right? So checking out mentally and emotionally, bouts of anger, frustration, you start to get road rage or something starts to really bother you, not sleeping at all. I call it that between 2 and 4 a.m. you're waking up and you've got that monkey mind where you're constantly thinking and stewing, and then feeling unworthy, feeling like no matter what you do, it's never going to be enough. And then a lot of the symptoms that my clients are telling me, and I've experienced too, is that Groundhog Day. Here we go again. It's the same thing over and over and over again. And you're just feeling like you have no power, you have no energy left, and you're exhausted and fatigued no matter what you do.
Oh, so you know what, Darrell? When we have conversations like this, I feel like our guests look right at me when they're speaking to me, right? It's just I'm Hannah, I'm busting out the virtual couch on this one, but
yeah, here we go.
I mean, but what you're saying is so spot on. So let's just take this one step farther. So now, right, here are listeners, right? Whether you're listening or watching, going up, check, right? I've been there, done that. What happens next? What are some things that we can do? So now we've addressed it. What do we do next?
Well, you haven't addressed it. You're like, okay, this is what's happening. And one of the things I recommend to my clients right away, male, female, whoever, is get a notebook. And I know this sounds very, very simple, but go to Target, get something on Amazon, have it sent to your house. And you're going to begin to start to write. You're going to be like a researcher. You're going to be like, I'm researching Larry, I'm researching Darrell. And it's basically, I'm waking up in the morning. How do I feel? Do I feel rested? Okay, at the end of the day, how am I feeling? What bothered me? What specific thing is bothering me? Am I getting enough sleep? You're going to be doing like a deep dive into like who Larry is and what's going on in his life or what Darrell's doing. And you're going to start to take observations of what's actually happening. When are you in a good mood? When are you not in a good mood? What specific things about your work are getting you excited and what's draining you? And you're going to take an energy assessment. And you're going to write that down. You're just going to strictly journal it. You're not going to, judge it or anything. You're going to start writing that down. And I'm asking my clients to do that for a week. And then at the end of the week, we meet and we talk a little bit about, okay, tell me what your energy levels are. What's energizing you? What's depleting you? And then we basically talk through like, okay, how can you work smarter? How can you talk to your boss or supervisor and really take a look at what are things that really excite you? Or is there ways to pack your schedule where you're doing those things that you really don't like to do, like first thing in the morning, and then you're giving yourself a break or like a happy win at the end of the day? That's something that's exciting you. And it's really around connection. If there's anything that I can say about today or anyone taking away is if you're feeling a certain way and your mind and body are saying something's wrong, like listen to that voice when it's like, I'm not happy. Something is wrong. What is your inner critic saying to you? Follow that thread and then see exactly what it is to pinpoint that you can work on. And then, don't hire me or do hire me, but hire a coach or someone that you can talk to and really work through unraveling those old patterns of behavior. You may have to leave your job. You may have to pivot, whatever it is you have to do, but you can't be in that dark space for very long. Otherwise you'll wind up where I was on the bathroom floor, frankly, contemplating suicide and not wanting to live anymore. And that's the darkest side of burnout that nobody talks about.
Wow. What an incredibly powerful conversation. I look forward to diving deeper into Hello Head, Meet Heart and how we make that connection. And as we pause to hear a word from our sponsors right now, we also want to hear from our former podcast guest and good friend, Amy Franco, as she shares what it means to her to sell from the heart. So let's hear from Amy after a brief word from our sponsors.
Are you ready to take your career to the next level?
One of the best ways we found to do that is to surround yourself with like-hearted sales professionals.
And we've heard that saying, you're the sum of the people that you hang out with.
Well, if you want to hang out with some sales professionals that also want to take their career to the next level and believe in selling from the heart, we invite you to join us in the Selling from the Heart Insiders Group.
This is a weekly gathering of like-hearted, like-minded sales professionals and sales leaders. We truly build community each and every week.
One of our favorite things is our up close and personal with thought leaders, former podcast guests, and people that challenge us to grow in sales. We would like you to join us for our next up close and personal. Just go to sellingfromtheheart.net/free-pass. That's sellingfromtheheart.net/free-pass. And we look forward to seeing you in the Selling from the Heart Insiders Group.
Selling from the heart is right now, with a lot of my work and work with my clients, is about being truly and genuinely consultative, helping our clients and customers make decisions. Regardless of whether or not they're using our product or service, to be of service to them, we're helping them to make decisions. And that to me is the substance part of selling from the heart. So that's what it means for me right now.
Love it. Love hearing from Amy Franco, author of The Modern Seller. Hey, if you want to be featured on an upcoming Selling from the Heart episode, just text the word video to 21,000. That's video to 21,000. And you'll get instructions on how to submit a video. And, to pull off what Amy's talking about, you've got to be present to truly be there for your clients and to truly listen and add value. I think I've discovered, Hannah, when I'm in a burnout place, and we've all been there, it's really hard to be present. It's really hard to be present, and everything suffers. So hello, head, meet heart. How do you introduce the two and facilitate that introduction?
So it's kind of a funny story. People always ask me, how did you come up with the idea of this book? But for me, it's like, I've always been a heart person, but I've always surrounded myself by head people. And we piss each other off mutually, right?
Yep.
You're always doing the right thing for your heart. I wish I would have thought about that sooner. But for me, honestly, the cure to burnout, and I've burned out multiple times in my career, and now hopefully this is my last, is 2.5 years of introducing my head and heart. And how I do that is I have them date. I try on, seriously, I write down my feelings in my journal, but then I also write down, things that are, like I mentioned to you, that research, like factual things. And I think for me, burnout, a lot of people think burnout is around overwork, but really, you guys, it's untapped talent or untapped creativity. I think often in life, we are burned out because we're ready for something next or not something new, but we don't know what that is or how to find it. And so really the key to introducing your head and heart is in that creative space in your mind, right? And starting to do new things, starting to take classes. If you're selling in one area, you're selling vacuum cleaners, you're selling cars, you're selling whatever, try to do sales in a different area. You'll learn something new, or try to focus more on something operational. And I think a lot of us in our careers, when we've been in it 10, 20, 30 years, we're only looking towards retirement. We're like, if we could only get to the shore, if we can only get to retirement, we have 5 years left, whatever that is. And we're looking in the future and we're not looking in the present. How many of us have one foot in the past and one foot in the future, but we are not being present? And I think really about head and heart is being present. Like, what's actually happening in your life? What are you actually happy about? What do you need to work on intrinsically from the inside out? And throughout this book, and Larry can attest to this with this purple highlighting, there are actual exercises in the book that'll help you connect your head and heart.
And this is good because I firmly believe that, Hannah, what you're talking about requires practice. It's not something you can just flip the light switch on and say, okay, I'm going to wake up, whatever day this is, and I'm going to connect my head to my heart. It actually requires practice. And it's something that I firmly believe in only because I do it every day. Literally, there's a window early in the morning and I journal about it. And part of it is I self-reflect. And that whole part of self-reflection is to connect and align my head to my heart.
Mhm.
And it's allowed me to see monumental transformation just in me. Because Darrell can attest this. I'll throw my hand up. I am a workaholic. I really am. I'll be the first one to admit it. And my wife will like second it. But I enjoy it. But there's some times where I do hit that brick wall. But what helps align me is connecting my head to my heart. And I do it first thing in the morning every single day. But it takes practice. It actually takes practice.
One of the things that I learned in writing this book is, do as I say, not as I do, right? I was writing this book for my best friend, for people in the world who are struggling with burnout. I wrote it for myself. Half this book, Larry, is my journal. You can tell it's pretty personal, right? And so I think the other thing about it is reflecting, to your point of, what went well today? What do I have coming up next week? Really kind of thinking through being in the present, but also being in the future at the same time, working on that dance. And halfway through writing this book, I actually had a setback. I actually burned out again because I was writing a book and I had, deadlines for my editors and everything. But the reason why I burned out, I figured it out because I journaled about it, was because I was living in the external world. I was doing this for other people versus really figuring out, why am I actually doing this for myself, or what am I actually giving back to the community? And I was actually kind of charting every single time I've burned out. It's because I've tried to meet an external force's need. It has never been because I'm intrinsically motivated. And so it's bringing it back to yourself. It could be as simple as, Larry in the morning channeling or journaling or whatever that is, but really coming home to yourself and saying, okay, I'm feeling discouraged right now, or I'm feeling like I'm working too much, because your body knows it, right? There's those warning signs. What is your home state, right? What is your Alexa? How do I get home to myself to really figure out what's next for me and really kind of settle down that yearning for meeting external forces?
Incredibly powerful. And one of the things we've been massive champions for here at Selling from the Heart is the inner work. And what we're talking about here is the inner work of listening to what's going on inside, paying attention. And I love this concept of going on a date. You've got, and if you think about a good relationship, and this is not a relationship podcast, that kind of relationship.
Not yet.
And nor do Larry and I feel competent to dispense relationship advice in that sphere. But if you think about a good relationship, opposites attract, right? And if in some ways the heart and the head come at things totally different, right? That 18 inches of space in between is a good place to go hang out. And so I just want to unpack this going on a date with your heart and your head. Like, talk us some more through what that looks like. And I'm really intrigued, really fascinated.
A perfect example of this is, how many of us are different in their personal life than we are at work? And a lot of us are, right? Of course, we bring our professional selves to work, hopefully. And we've got our, jargon that we speak at work and, our quotas that we have to meet. And you're kind of this one person at work. And then at home, it's like, gosh, if people could really see me now on the weekends, right? What am I doing and how am I interacting? But for me, it's kind of a funny story, Darrell. In the book, and I don't know if you've read it, you have to read it if you haven't.
I'm going to.
I'll give you a signed copy. I actually paused one of my meetings, canceled one of my meetings, and went to the grocery store. And I don't know if you've read this chapter, Larry, but it's called Creativity and Play. I went to the florist section and I was, I love flowers. I love colors, you can see from the Lady Den. And I started arranging a bouquet of flowers because I'm like, I'm done with work. It was 3:00. I'm exhausted. I canceled my meeting. I just need to be around tiny, beautiful things is what my body said to me. So I went to the grocery store, started, putting together a bouquet of flowers. And this woman came up to me and she said, I need to, have a bouquet for my daughter. I'm so bad at this. Can you help me? She thought I worked there, Darrell. So I was like, and there was no one around. I was like, well, I'm going to help this lady. So I started building this bouquet for her and I started talking to her and we had a great time. I learned about her daughter's wedding and we just became connected. Right. And I made this beautiful bouquet for her. I got excited because I'm like, gosh, I'm doing this for someone else. It better be good. The pressure was on, but it was exciting and good. She and I were connecting and I gave it to her and she's like, well, how much do I owe you? I'm like, I don't know. I don't work here. She goes, what? You don't work here? And I said, no. And I explained my story to her. I was honest. I was like, I've been worked at this company for 10 years and I'm exhausted and I'm afraid to leave. I feel like they need me and I feel like this is all I have. But I come to this flower shop and it brings me so much joy and it fuels my heart. I feel like this is what I should be doing. And she's like, and you run hospitals? And I was like, yes, I run hospitals. And she's like, and she looked me dead in the eye and she said, you are good at this. You made something beautiful. Like you made something beautiful. And I just started crying. I was like, what is wrong with me? Like, why am I crying in the middle of it? So she went on her merry way. And I went back to work the next day and I told my coworkers that story. And they're like, Hannah, you are so good at building things and you're so creative. And, like we want that for you. Right. I mean, the people that really knew me and they're like, but you're dying here. Your creativity is being squashed here because you're not able to grow and you're not able to build things because we're just trying to keep people alive, right, during COVID. And that made me really think about, my head was saying one thing, my heart was telling me to like quit, literally leave my work and go play with flowers. So of course, I'm not a florist now, but it showed me that I really needed to be in a space that allowed for creativity and play. And the way that I felt in the flower area and still the way that I still feel when I go into a place like that, I feel alive. I feel like I'm creating something. I'm around beautiful things. People love like seeing beautiful things, right? And so that's just an example of, how you date your head and your heart. It's just as simple as Darrell, where do you feel you're most at peace? Where do you feel beautiful or handsome? Or where do you feel alive? Like you're lit up from the inside out. And my tagline for my company is how to burn bright and not burn out. Like I like to ignite fuel and light inside of people because gosh, isn't that what the world's about, right? Igniting your inner superpower.
This is good about this whole creativity. I'm sitting here listening to your story and I'm glancing over at Darrell because I think he does a way better job at this than I do. But yeah, and we travel together a lot. And I've experienced it. He's a creative spark, but we have to get up and start moving to different places. And when we travel together and we'll have a meeting, we'll sit at a coffee shop for a couple hours and he goes, okay, we're packing it up. We're going somewhere else. And right, Darrell, and we'll just walk somewhere else, right? We'll talk and all that. Half an hour later, we set up camp again and it's sparking creativity.
Yes. It can be environment. It can be the person that you're with. It can be a simple conversation. I mean, my people joke around with me like, you can talk to a doornail, Hannah. You can talk to anybody because I like to strike up a conversation because my best ideas, you guys, in the last 2 years at SheShatters have been from a conversation with a stranger. I mean, it's crazy. They were like, you should do this and you should do that. And I was like, I don't even know you. But I actually, following that golden thread, you're listening to an audience who's saying, yes, do it. They get you excited, right? And I think it's listening to those unexpected conversations or being in a coffee shop or just being inspired. I think you guys are really blessed and lucky to have each other to be able to bounce ideas off of each other because it's that synergy and that the riffing, I would say, that are probably your best ideas.
It's because I'm heart, that dude's head.
Hey, there's something to that.
There's some truth to that. But, as I'm sitting here listening, like my place, I like going out in the woods hiking. I like going to my shop and building something. I like being on the water, sailing or canoeing or things like that. And I think so many times I go, well, I don't have time to do that.
Yes.
But it becomes like, you don't have time not to do stuff like that and to put yourself in that position of really restoration and recreation. And I think this, when you look, and I'm just thinking here about times in my life, and maybe not even so much a distant past, and also many of our friends out there, when you have these signs of burnout, it's time to recognize it. It's time to do something about it right now and not to wait for this to collapse into something that you literally collapse on the floor. And as we wrap this up, this is a phenomenal conversation. I'm just curious, what other words of wisdom and encouragement would you have to share with sales professionals and leaders who are just feeling like this is really resonating with them? Like, wow, I maybe am burned out. What would you say?
I think the biggest takeaway is you're not alone. I mean, I think all three of us could be a burnout support group, right?
Yep.
And I think my biggest surprise was saying to my coworkers, I'm walking away. And they're like, I wish I could walk away too. And I'm like, you can. So I think, don't quit your day job, right? Don't go ahead and do a max exodus quit. But my words of wisdom to everyone here is you are not alone. Reach out to those people and share with people what you're going through. Half the time when I share with people what I'm going through, they're like, me too. And we have a commitment and there's a connection there. It used to not be cool to share who you truly are, all parts of you, your head and your heart. And now it's the cool thing to do. Now it's the right thing to do, right? Be who you are at work and at home. Be that same person and connect your head and your heart and share it with your community because most likely they need that as well.
And it's so good because I love what you say, you're not alone on this. I can guarantee you this, as much as all three of us are talking about this, multiply that by 20 times. And that's the amount of people that are going through exactly what we're speaking about right now. So I encourage people to be open and honest about this because you never know when one conversation you have with somebody could change the course of their life.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, grab the book, right? Grab the book and use it as a diary and an opportunity to dig deep within yourself. A lot of people don't know how to look intrinsically and do that work. Like you guys talked about, you guys are ahead of the game. But once you start to do it, it's kind of addicting, isn't it, Larry? Journaling, the one thing that you have in your life to always count on is yourself. Yep. Use yourself.
So I love it. Hannah, thank you so much. We're all going to want to grab this book. If you don't have it, hit pause right now. Go get it. I'm looking forward to experiencing it. Just want to say on behalf of the entire Selling from the Heart community, thank you for being you. And thank you for sharing time with us today.
Hey, really quick before Hannah exits the studio, Darrell, how can we get more Hannah Austin in our life?
Well, they're going to get the book. And is there anything else you'd like to share, Hannah?
Yeah, visit me on www.SheShatters.com. I have a podcast as well that's internationally recognized. And if you guys have any questions or anything, feedback in relation to the book, I love to hear from my readers. So go ahead and find me there.
Wonderful. Hannah, thank you so much. This has been incredible.
Yeah, thank you.
Wow, Larry.
Man, I wish we had more. I wish we had hours to unpack this. Hannah, you're going to have to come back on the Selling from the Heart podcast. But this message is so relevant. And I'm going to raise my hand because, I've been there. I have been there multiple times on this whole thing. And whether that be in sales or in your road as an entrepreneur, let's just face it, it happens to all of us. But you got to be willing to admit it and stand up and say, hey, you know what? I need some help.
That's right. And, I think there's this thing inside of us as sales professionals and leaders that we go, I'm just going to soldier on. You're going to soldier on until you fall over, and you don't want to be there. You really, really don't. And so the things that we've talked about today, and I really highly encourage you, go grab a copy of this book. And also, one of the things that we talked about at the end was the importance of recognizing that you're not in this alone. And this is why community is so important to us here at Selling from the Heart. You heard us at the beginning of the show talking about the Insiders Group. We really want you to come be a part of that, because if you don't have a community, you need a community. You need a group of people where you can discuss these things, be yourself, blow off some steam. And I really want to encourage you, if you haven't come to hang out with us, come hang out with us. This is something that I think is a huge key to avoiding and possibly overcoming burnout in your life. Find that community.
Absolutely. Right. There's that old saying, you're the sum of the 5 people that are closest to you. Well, guess what? When you come to the Selling from the Heart Insiders Group, you're going to join a group of like-hearted, like-minded people that can really help elevate you to the next level in your career. But it's where we openly and freely discuss things like what we've been discussing with Hannah today.
That's right. Wow. What an incredible conversation. Thank you to everybody who's stuck with it this summer. You've been driving all through the summer. We got the fall coming up ahead, and we've got some not only incredible guests coming up on the Selling from the Heart podcast. Looks like one of them is trying to call me right now. We also have an incredible, we've got some exciting announcements. You're going to want to stay tuned. So make sure to like or subscribe. Thank you to everybody who is leaving reviews and sharing this podcast. Together, we're leading a movement of authenticity in the sales profession, and it's needed, and you're part of it.
Absolutely. We appreciate you. Together, we're changing the course of the sales profession. So we appreciate you.
Yeah, until next time, keep being genuine, keep being authentic, keep building trust, introduce your head to your heart, and most of all,
sell from the heart.